Okay guys, here's the deal. Inside this box is some stuff which will allow me to internally mic my drums. At the end of the night, it's just a pain in the ass. I've got 3 claws, 4 mics, 4 cables. It's just one more thing I have to break down. And I've been wanting to come up with a way to internally mic my drums, so all I have to do is hook up a cable to the shell and I'm done. And I'll walk you through the whole process of installing and testing. Before I start drilling holes in this shell, I really should compare this to the SM57. Alright, here we are in Logic. Now, I'm not going to tell you which track has which mic, but let's check out the first track. Okay, now here is obviously the second track. All right, let's check out some individual hits. Back to channel 1. Check it out. And the second track, here we go. Okay, so I have to admit, that test surprised me. I really wasn't expecting these mics to be that similar. However, I want to be clear. I've proven that when I mic the Floratom with either mic, the results are amazingly similar. However, that's one drum with a particular frequency range, and maybe on a different drum, I'm not going to get the same result. And the thing about the SM57, I mean, it's $100. So I think for $100, that's a pretty good deal. However, the Pyle mic is $12. That's what motivated me to make this test. So basically I set the bar pretty low. I just wanted a decent mic that I can mount internally for live gigs. You know, a front of house system playing in some shitty bar. That's pretty much what I need this for, or want this for. I have proven to myself that the Pyle mic is good enough to install it in my tom, so let's go do that. Here's everything you need in terms of the components. A Neutrik connector, male to female, the mic, the Gibraltar bracket. Now the Gibraltar bracket comes with this rubber gasket. I guess that helps to stop vibrations, which is a good thing. It also comes with these 2 screws, the cradle to hold the mic. I ordered a package of 4 1-foot long XLR male to female cables on eBay for like $9 or something. All right, so that's what you need component-wise. To do the actual installation, a bunch of screws. So I've got lock washers, 2 packs of nuts, and 3/4 inch screws for the Neutrik installation. Okay, you need drill bits, a cordless drill, okay, so I'm going to remove the Phillips head screw, which is holding this tension casing on. The slots on this aren't wide enough, so I was able to widen this slot. The screw now fits inside the slot. I don't trust one bolt, so I have to drill another hole in the shell, and I'm going to drill a hole right here. Time to install the Neutrik XLR adapter. I think right here is the ticket. I'm just going to eyeball it. 1-inch bit. It looks like the perfect size bit for this thing. But my next thing is I have to drill 2 small holes for these screws to hold it in. Yeah, that kind of did not go too well. All right, you see that right there? A little bit of the hole sticking out, right? Little. So I screwed up. Okay, so it's done. This only took me about 3 hours because of all the screw ups. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I'll show you. So just, understand that I will be replacing the wire. The final step is to test this, see what it sounds like. Here we are in Logic. I recorded my entire kit, and the track that's highlighted right here is the internally mic'd tom. I have two rack tom tracks. These two tracks were my rack toms. They are externally mic'd, so when you hear higher pitches, those toms were externally mic'd. So I'm going to play you these tracks. Right now the EQ for the floor tom is disengaged, so you can hear that. Here we go. Okay, not very good. So now I'll solo the floor tom track, and you can hear that. Here we go. Yeah, that's not good. So that's flat, no EQ. So here's the EQ curve I came up with, and basically I boosted 85 cycles, 12 dB with a Q width from about a little under 50 cycles all the way up to about 175 cycles, and then I also drastically cut the lower mids at 375 minus 13.5 dB. That's a lot. And the Q width was from 200 to roughly 600-ish in that neighborhood. But this vastly improved the sound of the drums. Check it out. All right, I'll solo the track. And while it's soloed, I'm going to cut the EQ and bring it back so you can A-B the difference. I'll start with the EQ engaged. Yeah, so this EQ brings back that low-end warmth that I love. So I can live with this. I'm not saying it sounds great, because it doesn't. The bottom line is internal miking, to me, doesn't hold up to external miking. Now, when you hear the drum uneq'd, soloed, it sounds like it's really out of tune. Trust me, it really did sound good in the room. And all I can tell you is that whatever is going on inside the chamber is much different than what's going on to the air in the room. The drums sounded really good in the room. So, look, I don't know what to say. I'm still going to go ahead with this project. I'm going to internally mic my toms. I'm now having second thoughts about the snare. Definitely going to internally mic the bass drum. I've already been doing that, and that's not a problem. I don't know about the snare, because my snare sounds great live, I have to say. And I don't think it's going to sound that good internally mic'd. But I don't know. I'm still on the fence. So, all right, there it is. So I think if your goal is to get a really great sounding kit for recording, forget about internal miking. I just don't think it can hold up to external miking. And this is after hours of me screwing around and experimenting that I came to this conclusion. The kit that I'm using this for is never going to see the studio. It never has. And I don't own that kit for recording. I have another drum set for that. So the point is, I just want that kit to sound okay in live situations. And I think I figured out a way to do that with internal miking. So if you want to go ahead with internal miking, I would say, number one, make sure that the drums are in tune. If the drums don't sound good acoustically, you will never get them to sound good with internal mics, in my opinion. Number two, mic placement is really important. It took me a while to come up with the right placement for this mic and this drum, and I suspect that that's probably going to change on a per drum basis, so there's no one placement that's going to work across the board. So it's going to be very interesting when I actually put a mic inside my 10-inch tom. So mic placement, you have to mess around with it, and you can imagine what a pain that is, because you have to take the head off every time you change the placement of the mic and put the head back on. Then you got to retune it. So it's no picnic, believe me. The good news is once you find the correct placement, hopefully you're good to go. And lastly, you have to be willing to come up with a pretty radical EQ curve. I don't care how well the drum is tuned. I don't care how perfect the mic placement is. It's still not going to sound very good without at least some kind of EQ. Okay, so there are benefits to internal miking. The biggest one being the lack of bleed. The isolation for an internally mic'd drum is really good, and you'll hear that. And then number two, I think that if you trigger drum sounds and you trigger samples, then an internally mic'd drum, because of the isolation, would be much better than trying to trigger from an external mic. Understand that this is all exclusively based on my drum in my situation, and I don't even know if this EQ will work in a live situation. I really have no idea, but I think it'll be a good starting point. Okay, I'm finally going to wrap this thing up, but I wanted to say, so obviously my conclusion was internal miking just doesn't hold up when compared to external miking. Some of you may disagree. If any of you have come up with a really good system that works for you, I'd love to hear from you. I'm curious. I'd like to know what options are out there. I did a lot of experimenting and a lot of testing, so I'm pretty confident in my conclusions, but hey, I'm no expert. I'm still relatively new to this whole thing. Now, I know that DW has a system. I guess they bought that company May that pioneered internal miking. And I watched several videos on that system, and I really wasn't impressed very much. And it is a very expensive system. I can't see spending the kind of money it would cost to mic a kit using their system. I don't see it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.